All right, let's get into Niners are at the bye. They're 4-4 with the win over the Cowboys. Obviously, that's not where they wanted to be. There's a number of issues that have popped up in the first half of the season, and I'm just going to there's 12 of them that I can think of. I'm going to throw you the all 12, and you tell me if these are going to be issues for the 49ers in the second half of the season. Okay?
Okay.
These were issues, all issues in the first half. Will they be issues in the second half? All right, number one, red zone offense. The Niners are struggling to score touchdowns in the red zone, probably because they don't have McCaffrey. He's a big part of the red zone, but it's not just that alone. So what do you think? Red zone offense. It was a first half issue. Is it a second half issue as well?
No. They scored red zone touchdowns before they got Christian McCaffrey. They were able to do it in the like Kyle Shanahan has scored touchdowns in the red zone pre-McCaffrey. Now that we've got this tush push, that's like the QB sneak from the 3 is one of my favorite plays.
Right.
It's a great play, right? Because you do it before, you do it when you have other options as opposed to when you don't have other options. I'm just looking at their last 3 games. Overall on the season, red zone touchdown percentage, they're 48%. But in their last 3 games, that 48% has jumped to 61.5%. I do think part of what was happening early was, I don't want to let them completely off the hook, but I think it was a little freaky how bad they were scoring red zone touchdowns. And I know the McCaffrey effect is real, but they have enough good players to score touchdowns in the red zone. Like we started coming up with all kinds of theories. Like, is it just Christian? Is there something else going on? I mean, they can fundamentally run the ball. They don't have a fade target, but whatever. Every fan on their couch, the only people that like fades are offensive coordinators. Everyone else hates them.
Right. Hate them.
Did they run a pick play to score a third down touchdown in the red zone the other day? We could debate. If I were a Cowboy fan, I'd say yes. Sure. I mean, by the definition, it looked pickish. But like one of my early theories, Larry, was, well, maybe Purdy's arm, like your arm shows up in tight window, like the field gets compressed and you need to be able to throw it hard, but that's not an issue. His arm is plenty. I mean, no, the recent trend says they're scoring touchdowns in the red zone without McCaffrey. So I think it'll be better than it was when they were under 50%.
I kind of think this is, I'm going to go on I think this is going to be an issue just from the standpoint of in the red zone, the space is all shrunk down and you either have to move people with power, with quickness or ingenuity and play design and create that room. And I don't see them doing it offensively as far as their offensive line. I'm not seeing a big power back. Mason's got size, but he's not really a power back. Maybe Guarendo's a power back if he hits it up there hard, if he's got the instincts, if he can find the vision, so on and so forth. I just think that if they can't, I think they might be able to improve a little bit when McCaffrey comes back, but I think it's a second half issue because I think that they need a power runner. Mason's big, and you would think he's a power runner, but he's not really. And neither is McCaffrey. Believe it or not, their best short yardage runner was Elijah Mitchell because of his vision and his ability to kind of pick and slide and find that hole and knife through. He was just it was uncanny how good he was at that. So I'll say that I think is going to continue being a problem.
Well, the other part of that problem is what does Christian McCaffrey do? He catches the ball out of the backfield. You don't throw the ball to Jordan Mason, but maybe Isaac Guarendo can help you there. Because I don't think like this Mason shoulder is going to be a problem until he gets, unless McCaffrey comes back. Now we're going to get a week off here, but if he comes back against Tampa and it's still a problem, then it's just going to be a problem unless McCaffrey and Guarendo can take a day that Mason gets off.
I mean, Mason's a great athlete. I love the way he catches the ball this year. I love the cutback and the ability, a little bit more speed than you think. I just don't think he's a great short yardage runner. I don't think he dances in the hole. I think he hesitates. I think he's looking for a true hole, and sometimes you just got to push the pile on the goal line. And I'm not sure that he's got that down yet. Now Guarendo sure runs hard, but his vision is not great. I worry about him fumbling.
Doesn't seem to break tackles.
No, I like if Arizona fell out of it and the Niners at the deadline were looking to pick up James Conner, I mean, that's what I mean. And then I would have more confidence in the red zone because then you could power it in. Then you literally could power it in from the 5. All right, so red zone offense, I think, is an issue. You don't. How about pass rush? The 49ers have struggled to rush the passer outside of Bosa and Floyd. They get very little out of anybody else off the edge. Is that going to be a second half issue? It was a first half issue.
Yeah, it's been a 3-year issue.
Yeah. In truth, yeah, totally.
So yes, I mean, unless they trade for somebody, and even at that point, we've seen them. They did it last year with Chase Young, and it was still an issue.
Yeah,
they did it with Randy Gregory, and it was still an issue. So it's an issue. Yeah, that's not. I saw NFL.com just suggested the Azeez Ojulari from the Giants, who's going to be a free agent, and the Giants have money tied up elsewhere, and he's been playing well. He's got 6 sacks in like 3 weeks or something,
right?
As a potential trade piece, but
I like that name. I like that name. The guy that I'd be intrigued by if they could get it done. I don't know if they can get it done. How about offer a 3rd-round pick to Jacksonville for Trayvon Walker, or maybe a combination, maybe a 3rd-round pick and a 4th-round pick in the next draft for a guy like Trayvon Walker, who's was the first pick in the draft, but obviously you're not paying that price. And he's been decent. I mean, I just think that a guy like Trayvon Walker could flourish here. I like him.
You got to be sure if you're trading a 3rd and a 4th. Like we've seen this year how impactful those draft picks are.
Yeah.
Especially at this point in the evolution of this franchise, as they're really, their core players get more expensive or completely spend out of being in San Francisco. So you just, to me, a 3rd and a 4th, I would like for that person to be a contributor beyond this year. But then it gets hairy, right? If you're taking
you do have that. You do have with Trayvon Walker.
How much is he making?
Well, let me see what he's making. I'm not sure exactly what he's making, but I do know that his contract is such that it goes beyond this year.
Yeah, 437.
Yeah, I mean, he has 6.5 sacks this year, by the way.
Yeah, next year, $10 million cap, $11 million cap.
2 more controls, 2 more seasons of team control.
So you got to tag him in 20. Okay. So he's got 10 million. His cap hit this year's 10 million. His cap hit next year's 11.8. And then the 5th-year option is available in 26.
I mean, I know Detroit is after a defensive end. I mean, I'll tell you the other, if a 3rd-round pick is too high or a 3rd and a 4th is too high, how about add Darnell Savage to the mix? Because the Niners could definitely use a Darnell Savage. That's for sure.
Now, why are the Jags trading a pass rusher who they drafted 1st overall with 2 years left of control after this year?
It's a good question. They're saying that, the articles I'm reading, it says it feels like a Jacksonville roster cleaning is coming soon and that Walker's not likely to survive it. That's the report. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't follow the Jags on a day-to-day basis, but man, Trayvon Walker and Darnell Savage to this defense, that would help. I don't think there's any question about that. Okay, a couple more that I want to.
Did you answer the question? Yes, it's still an issue.
I say pass rush is definitely an issue. Definitely an issue. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's been an issue. It will continue to be an issue. It was an issue that they tried to address, but they haven't hit the right guy. And maybe Azeez Ojulari or Trayvon Walker is the right guy. But to me, they definitely need a piece there. Because I also think Floyd would get as much done in a smaller role than he gets done in a larger role. I just think if you can minimize him, you're making him more valuable. How about special teams? It's been a major problem for the 49ers this year in the first half. Is it going to be a major problem in the second half?
Yes. It was good against Dallas, and I know Dallas has a dangerous return game, but Dallas did what Dallas always does against the 49ers is they overthink it on special teams. You can count on Dallas to do multiple things wrong. And one of the things they always do is they get too cute on special teams. They committed 3 penalties on special teams. I knew the Niners were going to win the special teams battle on the opening kick when Dallas did the fake end around. And I was like, well, that's coming back. That's coming back. And the Niners are going to be ready for it. Like, don't show the Niners the fake before you actually do it. Just catch them off guard with the fake, with the real thing. And this is what Dallas does. They overthink it on special teams when they play the Niners, and it happened the other day. I'm not suddenly bullish on the Niners special teams. Although the Anders Carl, it's like, do you want to go? I mean, I kind of like this guy. I'll tell you where my concern is on special teams beyond what we've seen. It's been a little weird. I really want to see more Jacob Cowing on offense. I thought in the preseason and in practice when we would be out there, I remember being out there on one particularly windy day where with him and Trent Taylor, it was like a major league hitter hitting an 85-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle. They were making it look so easy catching punts. And it hasn't looked easy. Now, I know Cowing got clipped on what should have been a penalty last week on an interference on a punt return that they didn't call. But it hasn't looked comfortable for Cowing on punt return. And it's weird because he looked great. He's always looked really good at it. And so I would love to see them work him in on offense. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's hard to go out there and your only snaps you play or punt return, and you're not as I don't know. But I think we're all kind of on red alert for, does that bite them at some point? Because it feels like they're kind of playing with fire right now there.
Oh, he's totally shaky on special teams. I mean, you can see him. The word is shaky.
If you're not going to play him on offense, then why not put Trent Taylor back there?
Well, and my feeling on it is I would use him a lot more from scrimmage and a lot less as a punt returner, because he just doesn't look right. He's had a muff. He's slipped down 3 times. I mean, he's just having a hard time keeping his feet. He also looks like he's like trying to do too much. Like you fall down when you try to take too many steps all at once. So that's what he looks like to me. He's like catching the ball and he's like trying to take 3 steps at once and he's losing his footing. But I mean, it's happened 3 times.
I thought we might see Ricky Pearsall back there last week. But maybe that happens in the future.
I think special teams is definitely going to be a problem. Now, to me, the big problem is Moody. His injury makes it so they can't kick the ball through the back of the end zone. And so they now have to have coverage units really covering, and they're not good coverage units. And they're coverage units that are now second and third teamers are having to start because of the injuries they've had. Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green were on the coverage unit. They're now starting, so they're no longer on the coverage unit. So I just think that with the rest of the league kicking the ball through the back of the end zone and the Niners not, I think they're at a huge disadvantage. I think it's a problem all year. How about
Lions have a very good you look at some of the special teams ratings, Lions are at the top or near the top.
Yeah. How about closing out games? Dallas in the fourth quarter had 140 yards, 2 touchdowns on 14 plays. Niners went 3 and out a couple times. They had a 17-point lead going to the fourth, and Dallas potentially could have taken the lead on the final series. Finishing games. Lynch came into this year saying we need finishers. Is closing out games, which was a huge issue in the first 8 games, is going to be a big issue in the final 9.
Yeah, definitely. Now, it may be that they are in closer games. Like the schedule's pretty difficult, right? Like Arizona was a team you should be up 10 on. The Rams are a team you should be up 10 on. Dallas is certainly a team you should be up 10 on. So this is an extreme reverse silver lining. But hey, it's going to be hard to be up 10 on Buffalo in the fourth. It's going to be hard to be up 10 on Green Bay in the fourth.
Yep.
But every time I say what I'm about to say, I get a lot of pushback, and people go, "Oh, well, what about this game and what about that game?" And I think the defense was getting after Dak Prescott and then stopped pressuring Dak Prescott. So that was part of what happened. And but that's not the thing I was about to say. What I'm about to say is I still think there is this level to Brock Purdy that involves consistently driving this offense. When you need a 7-minute drive, a 7-minute drive. When you need to go score, you go score. What's a little unsettling about this team late in games is like when they need a 4-minute drive, they go like 3 and out. Yeah. Like they get blitzed on second down and it ends the drive. It happened Arizona. You're like, all right, maybe they're going to launch this drive. And then Arizona ends that sucker with a blitz. And I don't know. sometimes it feels like they need to get to the line and just take a moment to look around at what's happening. Would that have helped them last week on second down when Guerrero just missed the blitz? I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't have helped. He just whiffed it, or not whiffed it, like took a bad angle. But I want to see them consistently put together the drives. And that's not all on Brock. And I'm not saying he's incapable. He has done it. It's not like they haven't done it. But they don't. This team is not doing it every week. In crunch time, I thought that was a big opportunity the other day. Up, but it's kind of like it's a put the game away drive, and they didn't do it. And their they stepped up and they made plays. But they're also lucky they're playing the Dallas Cowboys, who aren't good. That's not always going to be the case here in the second half.
I don't think this is going to be a problem in the second half.
Curveball.
Well, just because I think that Purdy understands now that he needs to run to close out some games. I think there's kind of a realization that that's where the Niners are at offensively. And I think he will do some running. He
ran on first down. He picked up 6 yards, and then Guerrero just, he got swamped.
Yeah, no, but I just think Purdy will be the key factor in the second half as a runner. I also think closing out games is a lot about, the second question was the pass rush. If they get some additional pass rush, I think obviously that's going to help them quite a bit, but I think that also helps them close out games. How about Devondre Campbell? He's been a huge problem, but he had his best game against the Cowboys. Was that just a one-game deal because, the Cowboys don't have a lot of speed at running back and because he was all over Zeke Elliott and he made a lot of plays, but other teams have used faster guys like Kyler Murray and others, and they just kind of burn him and they run right by him and he doesn't come off blocks. But he had a great game against Dallas. Is that going to continue, or is the Devondre Campbell we saw in the first 6 weeks going to be the guy we see in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, I think what he was in the first 6 weeks was what we expected it to be. I don't think anybody was surprised. The funny thing last week, he wasn't their first choice. Their first choice was clearly Eric Kendricks was targeted by the 49ers in the passing game. So this is the situation you're in. You wish you had Drake Greenlaw, but you don't. Maybe you will later. To me, it looked like in practice. Sometimes he makes some sweet plays, and when he got isolated on a running back or got matched up outside, it was a problem. The one thing I'll say for him, he doesn't, and it's a function maybe of just his speed, but it's part of being a veteran. Sometimes the younger linebackers like D will overrun a play, and you don't have that problem with Devondre Campbell. Like there are a couple times where maybe on an outside run where he was just in the right place. And, Winters might overrun it because he's so fired up to go make a play, which you love. I love his speed. But this is the nature of it, Larry. Better than you don't get to have 11 Pro Bowlers. That's not what you get to do. So you're going to have guys that they're targeting, and they're going to have guys that are holes that you're trying to expose in the scouting report. And you got to try and cover it and hope they make a mistake, or hope Nick Bosa gets to the quarterback before he can expose it, or somebody comes over to help, or whatever. There's nothing you can do about that.
I'm hoping that he turns it around and has a big second half. I'm not banking on it. I think he had a terrific game because Zeke doesn't have a lot of speed and the Cowboys don't have a lot of speed back there. I think he's going to fall on his face. I think they're going to have to replace him, but we'll see. How about the lack of speed
I'd replace him with
D. Winters full time. I'd go to Graham. I'd look on the street. I'd try to make a trade. I mean, I just think Campbell seems like he's lost his lateral agility, and I don't think he's getting it back. I mean, it just seems like he doesn't seem like he comes off blocks. I don't love what I see. I mean, to me, he was washed a couple of years ago in Green Bay, and the Niners are just figuring it out right now. I mean, he had one good game. He's had a lot of bad games. Yeah. How about the big one here? How about quarterback turnovers? The Niners, when Brock doesn't turn it over this year, are 3-0. The Niners in Brock's career, when he doesn't turn it over himself, 15-0. 15-0. So if the quarterback can just take care of the football, the 49ers are going to win games.
That ball he threw, I don't know if you saw the side-by-side that I posted, but the ball that he threw between the defenders, Ed Tutel Jones was breaking in on him. He almost threw the pick. I'm talking about when Brock almost threw a pick to a defensive lineman the other day.
Yeah.
Was a
are
very
you on the
irresponsible
sideline, on the Niners sideline?
Yeah. If you look at the
terrible play.
If you look at the freeze frame, it's the same as Montana before he released the ball over Ed Too Tall Jones for the catch. Result extremely different. But you got to get away with them. You know, like you get away with one here, that's part of the deal. But he earned that back plus 10x when he didn't fumble on that blitz on second down. I thought for sure that ball was coming out.
No
and he
question.
held on to it. So
as long as he takes care of the ball, I think they're okay. The last two are run defense. Niners have really struggled defending the run, and just they've had a rash of injuries. And to me, the injuries are totally can't be predicted. But I don't think the run defense is going to get better. Unless Greenlaw comes back, and makes real impact. I think they're going to continue struggling against the run. I don't know why. They've struggled against the run for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, your guy Evan Anderson is still the second-ranked interior defensive lineman on PFF. When you don't filter out for minimums, I mean, he's played however many snaps, 35 snaps, and everyone else around him has played 350. He's played in 3 games, but he's been really good in those 3 games. I would extend run defense. Their tackling has not been, just in general has been
sloppy,
weird. Yeah.
Like fatigued. They look fatigued. They're just falling off tons of tackles.
Yeah. And that's to me, that's different than run game is getting off blocks and fitting gaps. But to me, they are, if they could just clean up the tackling, then I think the run game defense would be fine enough. But it happened against Dallas. It happened against Kansas City. But Dallas, there's plenty of examples of you're there to make a stop for 2 yards and it becomes 6. And that wasn't James. To your point, that was not James Conner taking the ball for the Dallas Cowboys.
No.
So that is actually that's the alarming thing to me, is when you're in the right place and 2 guys are there and the play's not made. So, I worry about Renardo Green and Malik Mustafa have looked really good.
Really good.
You just worry about you worry this is week 8, week 9. There's still a lot of football left for guys that haven't played this much football. So that's where you start to kind of think about the rookie class. And we'll see. But they've looked really good.